welcome to a new video. This is an episode of Wind Waker Unflooded, the 3D modeling fan art project where we are reimagining the Kingdom of Hyrule as it could have existed within the world and art style of The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, corresponding its islands of the Great Sea to the unseen mountaintops of Hyrule, imagining the world as we've never seen it before. As we were teased with within the game of The Wind Waker, we see Hyrule Castle, and that's all. And there's this whole world that we were told was below the ocean in The Wind Waker that we were just told was below it. And so through the power of 3D modeling, we can imagine it for ourselves and sculpt that world ourselves. And that is what motivates this project. That is what Wind Waker Unflooded is. It is a 3D modeling fan art project taking place timeline-wise before the Great Flood. This is a piece of storytelling. Like I said, environmental storytelling is important to me. On its own, this map has a time that it exists in and a relationship to the world of Hyrule and its lore. And that's something that always inspires me working on this project, is that it has a place within and interacting with other Zelda maps and their geography and their changing geography. And that's something I really enjoy, is incorporating elements from other games, bringing them together into a greater map, right? That even if Wind Waker has its own spot on the timeline, I believe that there's elements of Breath of the Wild that could still exist during this time. They were, even during Ocarina of Time, they were just quote-unquote off-screen. Elements like the Great Plateau or Hateno Village that I've incorporated into my map. And today we are working on the sealed grounds as they existed within Skyward Sword and the Farum Woods region, featuring its giant tree and the lake. It's a really unique region, and it's something that, I'm translating in the style of the forests as we see them in Wind Waker. And of course I'm drawing from the Forbidden Woods and the Forest of Fairies on Outset Island. And those are, mainly where I'm pulling these textures and assets of the trees from. And it's all kind of coming from those locations. And Skyward Sword has such a unique aesthetic, man. And it's something that I'm trying to translate this in the art style of the Wind Waker and its, kind of polygonal geometry and its simple textures. And so there are things I'm simplifying, but man, it's just, I remember the feeling of playing that part of the game in Skyward Sword, getting to the Farum Woods region. And it's tough because narratively, you're so inspired to save Zelda, and then you get to the woods, and instead of feeling like, all right, my adventure's beginning, I remember just feeling like the game kind of slowed me down. And this is more of a game design critique, but I just remember kind of feeling like I wanted to save Zelda, and there's all of these distractions that pop up. And it doesn't feel like a gripping story. It feels like I'm led on a wild goose chase. And part of that is because it's not the monsters that are kidnapping Zelda, and there's not these obstacles that I have to overcome to succeed. It's not like becoming stronger is getting me closer to saving Zelda. It's just that Zelda is running further and further away from me without stopping to explain anything. And it just kind of, like Skyward Sword's narrative, and that's just a critique of the narrative of Skyward Sword. I love its story and I love its introduction, and there's several key scenes from Skyward Sword that I love. But a lot of its main gameplay quest is kind of predicated on the idea of a goose chase. And to me, it was kind of frustrating the first time that I played. And it's just, I think that element is important because in Wind Waker, you go and your sister's kidnapped. And so you go and try to save her. And what you realize is, oh, you're not powerful enough. And you literally tried to go save her, but you have to become more powerful. You have to not just save her, but it's going to take getting the Master Sword. It's going to take defeating Ganon because she's held up tight in the fortress. And the only way to save her is going to be able to confront the evil that guards her yourself, right? You need to become more powerful in order to save her. And it's directly correlated with that. And I'm not here to critique Skyward Sword. I really love the game, and I fell in love with it during my second playthrough. That was the first time I finished the game. I call it my second playthrough because I started over. But it was through playing it a second time that I started to realize, you know what, I'm patient with this game, and I'm gonna, there's certain expectations that I know it lets me down on, but there's also other things that I've been craving from the Zelda series that maybe weren't in games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, elements like its unique dungeons, or at least with Breath of the Wild, it's unique dungeons with unique bosses, with dungeons built on puzzles involving a dungeon item, and that is something that, there's elements of that in Breath of the Wild and more elements of that within Tears of the Kingdom, but in Skyward Sword, it's like that feels like a traditional Zelda dungeon again. And so playing that, I was like, oh, these are some of my favorite dungeons in the series. The Sand Ship, it leaves such an impression, and the Ancient Cistern especially, those dungeons really left an impression on me, and to me are as good as my favorite dungeons from Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time. And I want to make it clear that I love Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's dungeons, but it's just there's something Zelda-like about the dungeons of Skyward Sword that when I came back to the game, I just went, oh, that's exactly what I was looking for. That's more of what I love from a game like Twilight Princess. But anyway, I do want to take a second to talk about just a comment that I've gotten recently, and I've seen a lot of people asking this, and I want to answer it, right? And I've answered this before, and I'm scared that I'm repeating myself, but I mean, if you're new to the channel and if you haven't been following the project for a while, that's totally okay. That's totally okay. But I do want to make it clear that what I'm making here is a 3D model. That is what I'm making. And I do have the ambition of making short films set within this world where I'm using the map as the basis for, like I said, cutscene style short films. That is an ambition of mine. And those two elements, completing the map as a 3D model and making animated cutscene style short films that take place in this world, showing the build-up to the Wind Waker, the prologue, what was Hyrule like right before the Great Flood and what led to the Great Flood. Telling that story through short films and through a finished map. Those are my ambitions with this project. That is what I'm working on. That is enough for me. That is my complete ambition. My complete vision are those elements. And I just wanted to say that because I don't want to waste energy talking about what this project isn't, and maybe that's part of the confusion, is that I don't bring up what the project isn't. I didn't feel like I needed to. I feel like it was enough to talk about what the project is, right? I don't feel like I should have to correct and say what the project isn't. But I do know that there's a lot of people that feel motivated in the same way I was to. You wanted to see the world of Hyrule as it could have existed in the Wind Waker in its unique and beautiful art style. And it's not just enough to see it, is that I know a lot of people wanted to explore it and encounter unique dungeons, right? They want to play in this world. And just the reality is I'm not making a game or a ROM hack or, that's not what I'm making. That's not within my skill set. It's not within my ambition or vision. I think game design is fascinating, but that's not what I'm trying to accomplish here, right? That doesn't particularly interest me about this project, and something that I think would be hard to try to make an experience that rivals the open, explorable worlds as playable in games, in the other, games of the Zelda franchise that let you explore Hyrule, where you have a quest and a world to explore. In a game like Twilight Princess or Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, those experiences are those are beautiful games, and the designers at Nintendo are so talented. I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm not trying to say, oh, here's my take on what a better version of the Wind Waker would be if you could play it with Hyrule, and what if it was included in the game. That's not what interests me about this project. I'm not trying to compete with Nintendo. I'm just trying to create a map that inspires me, that map that scratches that itch, that map that I've always wanted to see. And that's enough for me. And to tell the stories, like I said, to create those short films where you can experience Hyrule through a narrative. And I guess that's the thing. It's just I believe that in engaging with a story, I think it's still very immersive and interactive to engage in a piece of media by paying attention to it, even if it's not one that's playable. And I think it's still very interesting to be able to look at a map and to be able to pay attention to a scripted story. And I think that is still something that really interests me as creative ways to use this map to say interesting things and tell interesting stories. And I'm very excited by that. But I just want to make that clear, because I know that there's a lot of y'all that maybe want this project just to be something it isn't. And I'm not trying to complain about my comments or anything. I love my comments, and I feel this is coming off as negative. But I just want to be honest with y'all, and I think I always have been, but I don't want y'all to feel let down just because you didn't understand what I'm making. But that's enough about that. And I don't want this to feel like I'm complaining about comments or anything. I just want to make it clear that y'all understand, just because I have seen confusion, and that's a question I get often. And I know there's so many people that just, yeah, like I said, it's like I know that, maybe there's a part of y'all that want this project to be something other than what it is. And I'm sorry that this project can't be that. But what it is still very interesting to me. And I'm very excited to finish this project and to finish the map and to tell those stories. And I hope that y'all will be along for the ride. And so, yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. But yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to complain about comments. I really love y'all's comments, and I love how many of y'all are so passionate about this project and excited to share your ideas with me. And I really want to encourage y'all to continue to share your ideas, because it really inspires me reading y'all's comments and all of the unique location ideas that y'all have. That really helps me decide what I want to work on next, and encourages me to keep working on this and keep realizing this world, because I know how much it means to y'all just to see it as well. And so I'm excited by that, and I'm inspired by your comments. And I want to encourage that if there's places that y'all want to see realized within the world of the Wind Waker, to continue commenting. And I'd love to know your ideas. But enough about that. Let me go ahead and maybe just give y'all a taste of, just kind of list out some of the things I want to work on next, and feel free to comment what you would like to see from these locations. So something I've been working on is the amusement park on Tingle Island. Me and my collaborators decided that might be an interesting use of the space. So comment down below any ride ideas that y'all might like to see. I want to work on Paw Print Isle a little more, and maybe I don't want to do underworld stuff too much, because I think the priority in this project is the overworld. But, Paw Print Isle does have a really unique cave, and working more in that realm could be interesting. But let me know if y'all have any ideas. Maybe incorporating the Palace of Winds. That could be an idea. Working more on the coastline. This is my list of, in general, what I want to work on next. So let me know if y'all have any ideas about those locations, or if there's anything else that y'all might want to see. But yeah, I just want to, I'm fishing for ideas. But yeah, like I said, it really inspires me whenever I see the ideas that y'all have. And like I said, that really helps a lot. But I think that's enough from this video. So yeah, like I said, I'm really excited to now be incorporating the Farum Woods from Skyward Sword. And I want to keep working on this region even more. I think the Farum Woods kind of region as a whole in Wind Waker Unflooded could be really interesting, because yeah, I have the Lost Woods leading to the Kokiri Forest, and what I'm working on is a maze that you have to traverse through to get to the Kokiri Forest. And so that'll be elevated above where the Skyward Sword's Farum region is. So it's like, humans can be able to get to the sealed grounds and the giant tree from Skyward Sword, but you have to navigate the maze in order to get to the Kokiri Forest. And so just integrating all of that is going to be really exciting. And there's still a lot of gaps, quote unquote, left to fill when it comes to this map. So in a future video, I'll be excited to kind of tie it all together with some terrain in the middle. But I've been slow to do that just because I want to be intentional about it. And I don't want to fill in the gaps too quickly if there's something that could exist in the middle that I haven't thought of yet. And so that's part of why, because I could make broad strokes really quickly in this map. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and finish a rough version of the terrain that just is missing details. But I just kind of feel aware that, there's just little things that could impact how I fill in terrain. And I kind of want to figure out the points of interest before I just fill in a part of the map, right? I think that's been an important part of my process, is before just doing a rough version, making sure I know what's going to go in between locations. So that is something that I think about, and that's part of what's stopping me from just doing a rough version of all of the terrain, because that wouldn't take long. But it's just, it's important to me that I understand what's in between locations first. So I just wanted to say all that. But without further ado, I think that's enough for this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Now, if you're looking for other ways to support me, as always, you can support me as a creator by becoming a member on Patreon. There you'll get access to all kinds of exclusive behind-the-scenes content like in-progress outlines, scripts, storyboards, rough cuts, and even soundtracks for my newest films. By becoming a member, you'll also be thanked in the credits for any film I finish during your membership. You can also support me by streaming my music. I compose all of the scores for my own short films, and you can listen to those soundtracks on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to music. Just look up Joe Kendrick. That's Joekendrack. DRICK. Y'all have a wonderful day, and without further ado, I'll let you go.